Writing is political. Let's talk about it. Everything you choose to consume or avoid, everything you choose to write or exclude, has political ramifications. In the United States in particular, writing and reading, movies and TV shows, and various other mediums of creativity and expression are under fire. During this discussion that you are about to view, we do get into a conversation about political views and how they skew what people read and what people write. We talk about Black joy. We talk about celebrating queer stories. We talk about how someone can be a bigot because that is the current political landscape we are in, and there is nothing we can do to avoid it. I also would like to make it clear, the One Page, One Love anthology and the authors that you're about to view are writing in a flash fiction romance anthology celebrating the ACLU. By definition of us being included in this, we are expressing that we want to support a cause that is trying to preserve and uplift the rights of people who are marginalized, overlooked, and overabused, in particular in the United States, but also in other parts of the world. There is something to be said about what you read and what you write and what you consume, because as much as people would like to say it isn't, your choices are political. You cannot remove the author from their work and then still enjoy it and say, but they're not writing political. I am Black. I write about Black characters. That is an act of me expressing my views that Black characters deserve to have their voices heard and celebrated in whatever way that I put them on the page. Some of the other authors that you are going to see today share similar sentiments and also express their work in another way, be it queer, be it celebrating religion, be it celebrating being from somewhere else in the world, or whatever it may be. Our choices are political. Writing is political. So I hope that you enjoy what everyone has to say and that you pick up the anthology and get to read the loving, happy, fun stories that are included. Romance, being what it is today, is political. Every choice, contemporary, historical, there are ramifications of what we include in our books. Even if it's just a happy, fun, loving, fluffy moment, the choices are political. I won't say anything else, but I do hope you enjoy what everyone has to say today.
Hi, I'm Monique Fisher. Let's see, how do I start off? I released my first book called Where There's Smoke, There's Fire in November 2022. Around that same time, I actually don't remember the exact time frame, but I do remember joining Word Makers before my book came out. I know that much because Mika Beta read for me. And that's how I met Randy. And so Rae Shawn and I became cool. She's been a beta reader and a proofreader for me and for about 3 years now, and I've released about 2 or 3 books a year since. I've met a lot of wonderful people and made a lot of wonderful friends, including Randy. And you missed the opportunity to do this. That's like her signature move, by the way. Especially when she says something out of pocket.
Listen, don't be calling me out.
No, but yeah, I joined Word Bakers, met a lot of wonderful people, and I've just been releasing 2 to 3 books a year ever since.
Welcome, Monique.
Oh, and I primarily write adult contemporary fiction and rom-coms featuring Black lead characters.
Hi, I'm Marwa Hussain. I'm an Indian writer, book coach, and editor based in the Middle East. I got started writing when I was 13. It's the stereotypical story of like kid with an overactive imagination with no outlet discovers an opportunity in one like English class and just goes along with it, and then once the writer bug bit me, it hasn't left since. But I'd say that this was kind of like an inevitability for me because I've always been an active member of like any kind of arts or crafts. Like I was a lifelong choir nerd and then a theater nerd, and then I found writing and I was like, nah, this one's gonna stick. Like the other ones gave up in a couple years, but writing stuck through.
I feel that. I actually did choir for like this long in middle school, and I was like, I like this. And then I found writing and was just like, but I like this more.
See, like,
Wait,
only so many Glee covers your choir instructor can make you do before you start building resentments, you know?
same with band. Same with band. There's only so much you can do.
Exactly. I'm just a woman. Like, I only can tolerate so much.
Right. Well,
Uh,
welcome, Mara. Nice to have you as well.
Thank you for
fellow
having
theater
me.
geek.
Hi.
You're also,
Yeah, fellow theater geek. I majored in theater in college.
listen, it's how it is, right?
All right, hi, I'm Laura Gorgoni, and I actually did choir too. But we didn't do Glee covers here. It's not a big thing in my country. No, I'm from Germany, and I'm actually not primarily an author. This is the first time I'm publishing something. I have always been pretty much always been writing since I knew how to. First in German, and then once I started becoming more comfortable with that language in English, and now exclusively in English. I write pretty much all kinds of stories as long as they're sapphic romance, just because I queer myself, and I don't really know how to write men, so it's just a lot easier for me to just write sapphic romance because that's what I have in my life.
It's okay. It
And
don't matter
Consider
anyway.
the few men I have are very, very minor secondary characters. But yeah, so I actually, so like I said, I'm not primarily an author. I don't want to primarily be an author. I'm doing a bachelor's in sports medicine, but I do just kind of write for myself, and I do want to publish more in the future, maybe after my bachelor. But yeah, I found this by chance because I follow Salah on Instagram, because I sometimes post on Instagram about books that I read. And so I saw this and thought I'd try it out because I've never been published, and it's been a really cool chance, and I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Glad to have you. And sports medicine is really interesting if people actually like dig into it. I thought I
It
wanted
is.
to go into sports journalism, and
Oh.
then I was just like, I'm black and I'm a woman and maybe not.
Oh no.
But it's still fascinating. And I respect all the people that are involved in sports because there's so much more than just the athletes that people
There
really
is.
think about. So
I'm moving on to neuroscience for my master's, but sports medicine is still cool.
I love it. You're awesome.
Hello, I am Dovey. I am a new and fresh beginning writer slash author. Um, my beginnings started when I was in elementary school and mainly kind of in middle school. My teachers kept on saying that my writing was good, so that kind of encouraged me to keep on writing. Eventually, when I was in middle school, I did start writing a little bit on Wattpad, and I just kind of kept on doing a little bit of writing on Wattpad as time went over, but I completed two really big stories, and I decided that I wanted to publish those stories. So here I am attempting to get that done. And my characters that I write in all my stories are always queer, and they are always Black or sapphic. So yeah.
Love to see a fellow Wattpad writer.
yes,
Same.
I think on Wattpad at one point too.
More AO3, but both, yeah.
Read AL3, but I was like, I don't feel like I could dive in here.
No, I was big on fan fiction as a kid. Like a Tumblr kid.
I created one fan fiction actually. That was the first book that I ever wrote on Wattpad, so it was really
Oh my
funny.
god,
I'm very much
nice.
a nerd into anime, so yeah, it was a anime fanfiction.
This is Marvel fan fiction for me.
Definitely, there's a lot that you can do in anime. But Laura kind of already touched on this when they said that they were drawn to the anthology because it was kind of like an experience to try something new. Does anyone kind of want to talk a little bit about what drew them in particular to one page, one love?
So really, what drew me into it was I'm assuming all of us are connected by Sula, and I'm very much like her work and I follow her. I also interviewed her once before for this kind of interview series that I had called Black Sapphic Writers. And so I was like, oh, well, Sula is having people come in, let me try and come in. And I really like writing romance as well, too. So the fact that it was like a romance anthology also drew me in as well as trying to get a little bit of exposure. So
I feel
Yeah,
that.
for me, it was definitely also because it was like a chance for smaller, less established people to do something like that and just get
mhm.
published. I don't
Yeah.
actually write that much romance, or I didn't used to. It's just been getting more lately. So that was also like a cool thing because I'm more in the like a little bit horror direction usually.
Oh my gosh, I
Um,
just started writing
yes,
horror.
I
Oh my
write
gosh.
lesbians murdering people
Yay!
What?
That is so funny that you said
and
that.
getting happily ever afters.
Oh my gosh, you might like my book when we start talking about that. I'll wait till we get
Oh,
to that point, but
I'll keep an ear open. So yeah, I was also drawn by just having a chance to get something out there for like smaller people, and also like I knew Sola just from being interested in reading her books. I haven't gotten to them yet; they're on my ever lengthening TBR, but yeah.
the ever lengthening TBR. Whatever.
um, I had actually participated in an anthology before called Best Women's Erotica Volume 9. And I really enjoyed doing that. And I like challenging myself. One of the young women in Word Makers with me and Randy is a young woman named Violet. And Violet once told me, "You like choosing violence against yourself." And I choose to see it as challenging myself. Um, writing is a skill, and I like to keep my skills sharp. So I like to give myself challenges, and I'm like, okay, 1,500 words. I can do this. So I went ahead and I think I contacted Sula. We both follow each other on IG and Thread, and I thought, okay, 1,500 word short romance, and make it funny. Let's do this. So yeah, and plus, it was something that I got to do to you know, oh, work on my skills as a writer while simultaneously helping out a really wonderful cause,
Hmm.
the ACLU. So I thought, two birds, one stone. Why not?
I, unlike you guys, like I didn't know Sula prior to this anthology. I didn't follow her, and I found the post to apply to the anthology through a mutual stories. So I initially looked into it completely unaware of like, you know, like I okay. I'm gonna confess, I did not read through the post. I went straight to the sign up form. And I was like, well, you can't back out now, because my thing is like I'll commit to things impulsively, but once
No.
I get there, my fear of being perceived as like a person with zero follow through gets me into like committing to things that I never thought I would if I had better judgment. And the thing is, better judgment should have prevailed in this case because I've never written short fiction or even like flash fiction in such a public way. It's usually garbage that I reserve in like the trash bin and don't delete because I'm like, what if one day? But then I was like, you know what? It's a good challenge. I mostly focus on like fantasy. I've been dabbling in like gothic romance and gothic horror lately. Like
I
that's my
love
bag.
topical.
Yeah, and then like looking at writing from more of like an anti-colonial perspective because just everything bothers me. So I like this was a challenge for me to be able to write something romantic. Plus, again, like Monique touched on, like the fact that it's for a good cause was also a very appealing thing for me. This is basically like my debut. Like I have not published prior to this. And so I was like,
Same.
I feel like if I debuted in a way that was helping a greater cause, I'm setting up like a good foundation for my career as a writer. I'm like setting up some good karma down the line. So I was like, you know what? Why not?
I love that. I need a laugh. Mara and Lara both touched on a topic of like putting your first works out there and kind of seeing that it's something that you can try and grow from if you so choose to do so. And it's very interesting because the anthology has a mix of people who have been writing for a couple of years or like their first or second project or have been writing for quite a while. And so it's really interesting to kind of be able to work in a cohesive little unit. Sula put together a really good anthology because of that, and I'm really excited to continue talking to folks, and I'm really ready to read everybody's books, or rather, not books, short stories. So yeah, this is really fun. Um, Dovey was saying earlier, like, oh, when I get to my teas, y'all are gonna love it, and that's what I want to ask about now. We're gonna start with you. Can everyone give a short little tease of their story? Dovey, go first.
Um, So basically, I have two characters. One is pretty much this being who has been on the earth for like centuries, but they get drawn in by this person who is neither man or woman. They are very much a they. And so they're trying to fight this hunger that they basically have for them because it could be something a bit deeper than what they may realize. So, yeah, it's just the first interaction from the story is just them basically having a spark of attraction to each other. So,
I'm really bad at giving like teasers or short explanations or explanations in general of my stories, but I basically wrote a little meet cute because I have a deep love for meet cutes. They're silly, they're fun, they're a staple of romance. And so I wrote a coffee shop meet cute of two lovely girls. One of them actually is a writer, which was more of a coincidence because I started writing this kind of before I even signed up for the anthology and just ended up going with it and thinking, hey, I think this works for the format. So and yeah, I named them Warm Encounters, and titles are incredibly difficult for me, but I think that one works well, and I think it's cute, it's fun. I might expand on it in the future, but yeah.
Love it. A good uh like meet cute is always fun because you can do so much with it. There's so many different ways that you can kind of like do a meet cute. It could be
Yeah.
like you know, best friends kind of realizing something
Hmm.
and seeing each other again, or it could be enemies, or it could be like strangers, or it could be
Yeah,
like rivals. So there's just so much fun you can have with it, and like writing a good meet cute.
I love them. They're so important.
Yeah.
Okay, so um, I don't, I don't think this is TMI, but like fun fact, I've never been on a date. Like I am the most
Oh,
inexperienced when it comes to romance, primarily from like a cultural and religious, uh, like reason because
hmm,
I'm I'm Muslim. I was born and raised in the Middle East, so I've never really had that experience. The only experience I've had romantically is through movies and film, basically American pop culture. And
oh.
Yeah.
I was like, you know
I'm
what?
sorry.
I'm the perfect person to write about a first date. Who better? So I essentially Scenes from a First Date, which is the title of the piece I wrote, is a 1,500 word short story that takes place on a blind date set up by mutual friends, and it explores that ice-breaking moment when an awkward conversation between two strangers essentially morphs into something that actually makes you consider, like I might actually say yes to a second date with this person if they were to ask. So yeah, it's not like it doesn't explore the whole date, but you'll see.
Marwa, I love your energy.
Thank
Yeah.
you. It's anxiety.
You're so relatable. Mara, I actually love that you're also writing romance with little to no romantic experience. I also don't really have a lot, because the few people I've dated, I was friends with before, so we never really went on a lot of dates. One of them, the longest one, was a long distance relationship. So I'm also very much writing from a, and my story is very much like I don't believe in love at first sight, but it's more of attraction at first sight.
Mhm.
And I'm on the ace like spectrum, so I've never had that. I need to be friends with someone first before I even consider liking them. So I get you in like not having a lot of experience in what you're writing.
Well,
But
see,
I think that's a cool perspective.
my only experience with love as a boring hetero was getting friend zoned once when I was 16. And now I'm 27 and I haven't gone near men since. So, you know.
I'm gonna stand on what I said earlier. Men are trash. I'm also mostly, I think, I don't know what the hell I am. I like who I like when I feel like liking them.
So
Um,
fair, so fair. I like women and fictional men.
Unfortunately, it really lends itself to the male side, which I'm like, why do I do this to myself? But I'm on the ace spectrum too, so I feel that.
Oh,
But yeah, men are trash.
Agreed.
I'm gonna make this as quick as possible. Zarina Chapel gets lost in the woods while hiking. She runs into her work crush, Dr. Bill Henry. They both work for a fragrance company. She smells the scent that he made inspired by her on him, and what follows is a night of passionate fucking. There you go.
very much a jump.
I was just shocked, but then what made me laugh was Ray's reaction.
I was like, oh, that's so cute. He's wearing pants.
That's so
Whoa.
nonchalant.
Yeah, it's like you asked what's like the main trope insta-lust. She goes from oh hey, what are you doing here to like sniffing him and licking his neck.
Okay, hold on. As an aside, because
Girl.
y'all have to understand something. This is Monique.
I'm getting that.
See, when you were halfway through your pitch, I was like, this could go either one of like two ways. Either he's murdering her, or they're going to end up together and make like a brood of 15 babies.
I was kind of expecting it, but then you said it so nonchalantly. I was like, oh my god.
I was like, oh, he made her sick. How cute. I'm like, oh, it's a little me cute thing. And no.
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 Mm-mm. Way overboard. Real quick, real fast. No raft. Okay. Yes. So Monique, we I know. I know that Monique writes Insta in most of the books that she currently has out. So I should have saw that coming, but I still wasn't ready.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. I was like, oh, maybe you're gonna change it up. I changed it up. Like I wrote a cute little sapphic moment, and I had a lot of sapphic couples in SI characters in my books, but usually I write male female couples, and like about half of them are queer. But I have had plenty of author friends be like, "So why do you keep playing games and writing these nice ass side sapphic characters? Where are their books?" And I was like, "Let me try
Oh yeah.
anthology, see if I can do this." Because I'm like, it's not my lane fully. So I gotta figure, like I don't want to step on toes and do things weird and be like, "Sorry, I don't know better." That's not okay. So I was like, "All right, let me dip my toe in, see how this work." Um, so that was me stepping out of my lane. Monique, try not to kill me next time. I appreciate it. Like the central tropes in our stories. Yours is insta lust, Monique. What kind of, and you mentioned, Laura, that yours is basically the meet cute. um, what Dovey and Mara would you say is your kind of, well, obviously Mara, yours would probably be like it's a first date, right? So it's
Yeah, first
like
date, blind date. Um, I wouldn't say insta love, maybe more like insta attraction. Um,
mhm,
and it's a lot more obvious that it's one sided. You can't really tell if the other person reciprocates it, mostly because it's told from the woman's perspective. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like someone who's very reluctant to put themselves out there, is that like a trope? Because her
Yeah,
internal
definitely.
monologue is constantly just like, oh shit, oh fuck, oh shit, oh fuck, oh shit, oh fuck, basically.
So based on your own experience or
Yeah. That's me right now, honestly.
Like my name, what, huh? And Dovey, what would you? I'm not sure. Like, okay, so they're both beings, and they kind of our first meeting. Is it like a strangers to lovers kind of situation?
Um, I guess it would probably fall under like the mate trope, I guess.
Okay, fated mates.
Fated mate. My story is like a smaller part from like a longer short story that I have. Um, so yeah, I think it would fall under that category of that trope. And
I
it's
was trying to
also
be,
a horror
yeah.
romance type of thing. So yeah, my first time dipping into horror. I came from a horror anthology that I am personally making myself because
Oh.
I really like horror and I wanted to try and combine the aspect of horror and romance together. So although the story isn't gonna be exactly happily ever after, um, their their romance and the attraction together is good. Honestly, I wish I could have given more in my thing, but I was struggling so hard to meet that 1,500 word point. I'm so used to going over it. So when I finished writing and adding, it was at 2,000 words. I said, we need to drop it down. So I was like, let me just show their first encounter with each other.
Oh wow.
Happy for now counts as romance. Look, and horror is hard to try and figure out like the balance. I think so I the first time I watched V for Vendetta was last year thanks to Mika James. And it's because it's her favorite movie and she kept yelling at me telling me how had I not seen it. And I was like, I don't know because I don't watch a lot of things. But it's like that whole idea of balancing romance and figuring out if the story is actually a romance or if it's like the other genre that it falls into, suspense, thriller, or whatever. And because, how it ends, it isn't romance, but it does have the romance in it. But I'm like, if it ended happily for now, then it
That's a
would have
great movie.
qualified. It was a really good movie, and I regret not having watched it sooner. And when she
Yeah.
watches this podcast, she's gonna laugh at me and say the message, and it's fine.
I agree with her. How dare you?
I will just say that I'm always behind on watching things like anime, movies, TV, because I'm like, if there gets hype around it before I'm interested, I don't want to watch it because then I'm like,
Yeah.
well, it doesn't live up to what people are saying and it pisses me off.
I've had that happen to me as well. So I get really cautious when stuff is like overhyped. Like when
Yeah,
it doesn't live up to it, I'm gonna be very mad.
yeah. Also, I have like a scatterbrain and I forget things very easily and I'll be like, "Oh, I was supposed to do that 3 years ago." Um
Oh no. I always watch something like on the side for my ADHD, so it's like insane to
Mhm.
me when people haven't seen like everything. Every time somebody of my friends watches something, I'm like, "Oh, are you watching this?" I just know everything somehow.
I look, I respect that. I wish my undiagnosed ADHD worked that way. Mine will be like, "Let's be safe in our bubble and rewatch something for the
Oh,
30th
fair. I have moments like that too.
time."
Yeah. So I've seen Bones like 12 times.
Oh my god, me too.
Mm.
Such a good series.
No, that's a good romance.
Um, yes. So I think everyone kind of already touched on this, but most people haven't written flash fiction before, right? Or like they've kind of kept it to themselves.
Well, I have, but yeah, not published.
And so do you feel that like it really, which again everyone kind of touched on a little bit, but do you feel like it really brought you out of your comfort zone writing this? As
Oh,
far
for
as
me,
like
not really. No. Okay, so I used to have like little fun writing contests with friends, where we would. It was mostly like fan fiction friends, but we would give each other like little topics, and we would just write like short stories about our topics. And I think I'm actually one of the few people who didn't pick like the longest option for the anthology, because I kind of just stopped where it felt right, and I was actually like a little bit even under the one for the. I picked the second category, but it was like 400 something out of the 500 or
it's
something.
like
No,
max five?
yeah, I don't remember the exact, but I was a bit under the max
Yeah.
word count. But yeah, so I have a lot of practice in writing like shorter stuff, or like for anyone who's familiar with fan fiction, just like little one shots, stuff like that. So I'm just pretty used to it, I guess.
I respect. I'm so used to writing long, as you can see. Them are like chunky books back there that I was like, I'm gonna challenge myself to write the minimum. I don't know how I did it, but I wrote 100 words. And then
Oh
I had
wow.
did a secondary story and it was 500 words. So I was just like, how did I do this? Wow, maybe I can do this? Nah, this was stressful. I ain't doing it again. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But does anyone else feel like like I saw heads nodding that it really brought y'all out your comfort zone? So who wants to kind of touch on that?
Yeah, it was like really hard for me. So hard. Like I was almost about to change my whole story because it was so hard for me to like chop it all the way down to at that minimum because I'm so used to writing at like well over 1,000 something words, like way over 1,500. So I was like, what am I gonna do? But I made it.
We love it. It's hard. It is hard to like to slide yourself into something like trying something new is nerve-wracking and rewarding if you do it. No, Monique, it looked like you was about to say something.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say that I hadn't done that since the Best Women's Erotica story, so I was just like, okay, I'm a little rusty at this, so let's see if I can pull this off.
I forget how long Rachel wanted those.
I forget too.
I didn't do Best Women's Erotica. I did the couples anthology. I think it was under 3K, which is better than 15, but still hard.
Yeah, I think it was definitely longer than 15, but it was it was really hard. I um I think it counted. I know the categories are different, so I think it counted as a short story, and I think like with the less words, it falls into another category depending on the maximum amount of words. So I've never written anything this short, so that was definitely a challenge, and it was a fun one too.
And Marwa, you had mentioned that like yours were unpublished, kind of kept to yourself.
Yeah, I'm realizing I lied. Because this wasn't my first time writing a short story, but like, okay. So the first time I wrote a short story was because I had met someone like kind of through networking on Clubhouse. I don't know if you guys were ever on that platform, but I met an editor on Clubhouse who was like, kind of building themselves up like they were a hotshot, telling me that like they were an editor on The Martian, you know, that book that got turned into a Matt Damon movie. And I was
Yeah.
like, you know what, this sounds like a scam, but fuck it, I don't care about what I've written anyway, so here you go. And he basically, because I was the only one in one of his rooms, he was like, you know what, because you're the only one here, I'm gonna offer you like free editing services. That's why I was like, you know, this is probably a scam, but okay. And so I sent him my short story, got ghosted for 3 months, and then got like the most scathing feedback ever that made me go like, you know what, never again. And then I did it again. And the second short story I wrote was for a writing competition back in January of this year. And it was a short story about a girl who, instead of getting therapy, decided to kill her dad instead. And
Love that.
it lost. I lost. Didn't even make it into like the top 10. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be as pathetic as I was last time. I'm not going to scrap the story. I'll keep it in my archives. Maybe someday I might want to rework it into something. Maybe I want to submit it elsewhere. Maybe I want to turn it into something full length and then submit it then. So that's sitting.
He deserved to die.
Right?
He did. You know what? You know what? He did. I'm on her side. I don't need to know
Just say
anything.
it.
We
I
support
wrote
girls'
the thing.
wrongs.
I wrote the thing,
Exactly.
and honestly, I don't need to know any of the details. She was right. Um,
Yeah. Good on her.
you know, but yeah,
We support women's wrongs.
exactly. So this was kind of like my third attempt at short story writing, and I agree that it's like the shortest that I've written. So in that sense, this was like a first time because the others were either like 5,000 word projects or longer,
Mm.
even though they were still short stories. So this one, In fact, this one, again, I don't know why I keep forgetting. This was supposed to be a 500 word, like it was supposed to be in that middle tier option that we had. And then very quickly I realized, yeah, it's not happening and the deadline's like next week. I'm not going to self-sabotage. I'm just gonna email this person and be like, hey CT, hey Sula, can you please make accommodations for me? And they were gracious enough to let me extend my word count to 1.5k. So it went from being that middle tier like short story to like the longest one, whatever it's called. So
See, this is why I just clicked all of them because I couldn't decide at the beginning what I was gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just was like, I'm gonna try and do the shortest, so I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna make it work. But I feel it. It is not.
Actually,
See, because you
But
are people with forethought. I was by the seat of my pants, bro.
you did mention that earlier that you
yeah.
make decisions. Like we had that conversation.
I can't.
Oh no, I clicked all of them and I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick a story later. And then I went back to one I'd previously already written and just reworked that. So I feel like that's actually like what you said, keeping it in the archive is so important as a writer because you like have so many cool ideas that you just kind of come back to and like rework or flesh out more, and then you just have something to build on. You also have something to just see your progress on. I feel like that's so cool. Like no matter how cringe the stuff I wrote at 14 is, I've kept it. I have all of my stuff.
Against my
I
better
have
judgment.
yes, I have every cringe supernatural fanfiction I've ever written in a folder, and I'm proud of it because I tried and I put myself out there and I had fun and I hit people with the bus in the story.
Oh yeah, let's
I stopped at the bus thing. I was like, wait, what?
My writing style usually is very much described as unhinged, so in that case, it was out of my comfort zone. That it's just very cutesy this time.
Wait, hold on. But if you did supernatural fanfic, does that mean you made supernatural sapphic?
No. Okay, so I didn't make Supernatural Sapphic. I did put the Sapphic ship in Supernatural, but obviously the main characters are all men.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like,
no, I didn't write gender bend.
oh, that would
But
be.
I do always have like a secondary ship. Just all of my original work is Sapphic. I...
Sorry, I don't know.
It's okay. I actually checked what's the shortest thing I've ever written, and it's 12 words.
Oh wow. That's basically a haiku, right?
Pretty much, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a very, very short story.
Yeah, I think I was trying for the second highest one, and it just kept more words just kept coming, and then I scrapped the entire idea, and then I started over again. This is funny. No, I went when Mara brought up Clubhouse. I thought about it. I was like, wait, that wasn't even that long ago, and I haven't heard that in so long.
Yeah.
That just made me think about that.
Genuinely,
Yeah.
the past 5 years were a fever dream. It like
No.
canonically, to me, canonically, they didn't happen.
Never heard of Clubhouse.
5 years. What? 2020 to 2025. What? Can we just go 2020 to 2030 and just forget all of this?
I
Still
don't
feels
know,
like
man.
last year.
I'm like low key rooting for a second lockdown because I don't want to see people again.
Girl, no.
I
No, you're gonna lock me down in the wrong place. I don't want to be where I'm at. No,
Don't do
please
that to me again.
let me leave first. Look,
Like, I'm home all day. I have no problem with that, but don't do lockdown to me.
I am in the worst possible place to be right now. Just I hate it here.
maybe it's just me like loving the fact that I could go up to any human being who's trying to like initiate conversation with me and be like, the government told you to stay the fuck away from me. Go away.
I mean, you can also just say that.
I could, except I'm a
You don't need a
terrible
reason.
people-pleasing oldest child. So
Oh,
I need
yes.
to scapegoat
Mhm.
someone.
Just carry a card with you. The government
Told you to
nobody
fuck
to talk
off.
to me. Yeah, told you to fuck off.
wear it on a shirt, put it on a
Right,
beard,
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
have a mug,
yeah. Full
Stick it
merch
on your forehead.
tattoo it on your. Well, just say it.
Quarantine for safety reasons. It's for
Yeah.
me, not for you.
I
we
am
kind
the
of
danger.
we touched on like the exciting parts of participating and like what has been most challenging. But is there anything that y'all haven't kind of highlighted separately that kind of makes it um different than what you've already mentioned? What was exciting for you to participate in this particular anthology?
Well, I kind of mentioned that I didn't really write a lot of romance before. There was romance in my stories. Like the main thing I'm working on is very much horror with a side of romance. But just like purely focusing on that romance and not getting to murder someone with an axe, is was very much like new and kind of mind-boggling to me because I'm just not used to that. Like there's always an aspect of something else. But I thought, hey, I tried to just completely. I had another story that I almost entered that was in the first tier and was a little bit more fantasy and a little bit more unhinged. But I thought, hey, it's romance. I'm gonna try to fully just stick with the romance. And I think it worked out. So yeah, that was kind of exciting.
Honestly, the most exciting part for me was the IG chat. Was I know I don't talk very much. I'm just pretty quiet, but and I always overthink what I should say. So so if I don't like, I usually end up just liking what other people say because I'm just like, mostly it's because like when everybody started posting their pictures, and I was just like, "Oh, everybody's so cute." And then somebody said that, and I was like, "Oh, I can't say that because somebody already just said that." So I just started liking everybody's picture. But honestly, this has just been like the most exciting part. Is just like getting to know everybody, and just the more that we've been talking, the more excited I am to read everybody's story. I can't wait for the book to come out.
May 6th, we're so close.
Oh,
Which is scary and exciting.
I'm so anxious.
Scary and exciting. I mean, everyone already kind of talked about the challenging part, mostly being because it was writing shorter, except you, Laura. We know.
Yes. I'm sorry.
You out here just showing us how it's done. Was there anything else that y'all found challenging? Like, was it maybe like Laura? You had also mentioned titles. I hate titles.
Yes, I hate titles so much. Also, I never posted a pitch. Mostly because I haven't really had time to post much of anything. And I'm still very uncomfortable with social media. Yeah, it's also a challenge for me to be on here with my actual face and my actual name because I'm on social media as Alex. It's a nickname that just came from friends. But I'm like very uncomfortable with my face on the internet usually, so there's like a big thing for me. It's just a privacy thing, I guess. And yeah, so just it was mostly that and entitled, and also just also just the group chat. Like I have not talked in there. Like I think I wrote one message because I was a little nervous with like all the people, and everybody was like very much feels more established than me and feels more like a hey, I also think I'm more like one of the younger people. Like I'm 22. And so yeah, I just never really knew what to say in there. So it was all very very nerve-wracking. I was just picking what story because I had like 2 full pages of like bullet points of what I could write, from like little meet cutes to just little snippets of dates, stuff like that. Because I had a lot of like cute little ideas, and then I'm eventually settled on something 2 days before the deadline. Um just very usual for me. Procrastination for the win. But yeah, so it was all very much an emotional mess. But we
I
got
think
it done.
yeah, no, I mean, there's so many different ways to be challenged writing in general, especially like, if it's figuring out who your characters are, figuring out titles, figuring out what you're pitching, figuring out like how long something is going to be. And when you're working in an anthology, I think it's always a little bit more challenging because you're like, well, what is everyone else writing? I don't want to write the same kind of story idea. Oh, what if like my story is so far removed from what everyone else is writing? Like I considered pitching to an anthology before and then looked at the other people who were pitching and was like, maybe I shouldn't.
Why didn't you think of
Because
that?
I was just like, I don't think I fit into this anthology. One, because of like my age, based on what other people were saying, but also like I'm very, very, very obviously Black and I write Black characters, and nobody else was doing that. So I was just like, okay. So like, it's always a little scary to kind of put yourself out there. That I think is a challenging thing as well.
I struggle the most with writing like the summary and a synopsis. So, especially the synopsis, because that's like much shorter than the summary. So, I was like, what am I gonna say? I'm already bad at kind of like I feel pitching like my story. Even just earlier when I was trying to pitch it, I felt like I didn't tell you guys enough to like draw you in. So I'm like, oh, I'm really bad at this. So yeah, that was what I struggled the most with. And I'm hoping that when my synopsis is being, I guess, shown to the public that it doesn't sound weird or cringy. So
No, nobody likes writing blurbs. We all hate writing blurbs. The blurbs
Yeah.
suck.
Collective.
Agreed. Eradicate them.
Oh, can I just be like, they exist? Go read them.
Yes, thank you. Like, they're important, and I get it, and I like reading them as a reader, but don't make me write them.
Can someone else do it?
See, it's like it's so different when you come at it from a reader's perspective as well. Because like
Yeah.
as a reader, I prefer going in completely blind. The blurb and the synopsis are completely like superfluous for me. Like I prefer the excitement of being like, oh shit. Like I did not know this is what I was picking up when I picked it up. You know?
See, I have such an opposite view because I'm pretty specific about what I read, especially now that I post mostly about queer books when I have the energy to post or the time. So like 90% of my bookshelf now is honestly sapphic, romance, sapphic, anything, because that's just what I'm more interested in now and just what I like to read. So I have to read synopsis and stuff to just see if this is what I want to read, because I'm so sorry, but I have no interest in reading about men right now. So I just don't.
I'm gonna come back to what I said earlier. Men are trash. I'm no disrespect to the men who are not trash.
Yes, of course.
No, but I
Men
feel
who are
like you don't have to say that though, because I mean, normal people, when they find a shoe that doesn't fit, they don't hack their heels off to try and jam it in. They just walk
Except when they're in
away.
Cinderella.
maybe I should not drink my tea while you talk.
Maybe
No, you're right.
normalize calling men ugly stepsisters from now on. I don't
Ooh.
like the straight romances, but recently I've been in like to the fantasy ones. So mainly Alien. Don't judge
You're
me.
like, I'm not gonna deal with men at all. Give me an alien.
You know what?
But
I was
fine.
I didn't get like the monster alien or like paranormal romance girlies until I realized like no wait, I grew up loving Nosferatu, like the original 1920s diabolical like haunt my nightmares Nosferatu. And then I watched the newest version that just came out and I was like, you know what, I get it. I it's just that my mind and my ovaries didn't connect. There was a disconnect there. And then I saw Bill Skarsgård, knowing it was Bill Skarsgård, and I was like, "No, you're right. You're right."
Oh my god.
I've yet to see that.
I wouldn't watch it with your parents if you're looking for like a family night movie situation. That's not it.
No,
No,
I'm surprised.
no.
You know what would be even better is if they made like black sapphic fiction that had like the whole alien and like creature type of thing going on. I would read that. I hope to probably write that in the future. So yeah.
One author that I read that writes out like in that way is Jessica Cage.
Ooh, sounds familiar.
You know who
Yeah,
I also like?
vampires and shifters and other
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm actually reading. I accidentally summoned a demon boyfriend, and I just read. I hooked up with a vampire, and that's literally the title of her books.
Yeah.
Who I also
That's
like,
one.
who does like werewolves really well, and also like a lot of black characters, as I think her name's Tamara Jean. I'm looking at my shelf to read the name on the book. Tamara Jaree, I'm sorry, and like her book, A Wolf Steps in Blood, is like really, really in that
Oh, I
topic.
heard
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally devoured that
It's
book.
sapphic?
So good. It is sapphic, yeah.
You might have to put a link to that. Like
I can send it to you.
I've been trying
Yeah.
to find more sapphic fantasy books that are like
Mm-hmm.
two leading black characters, and I've been finding it very hard.
I
I
think I
find
know a couple.
some,
I'll send them
but
to
it's
you.
not enough.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the indie black authors have everything. You could literally just come up with like the most random, like I want a mermaid and a kraken and they're black and like somebody wrote it.
But that's generally like the current book space. Every day I'm surprised by what I see.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a big smut reader, just like for. I don't think it's bad or anything, it's just not my personal cup of tea most of the time. But there is like some crazy stuff out there, crazy being positive. Um, so every day I'm just surprised by the creativity of people.
Yeah.
It gets
If you
fun.
guys don't know already, get into Nikki Clark. She is amazing. And Leisha McCoy.
Look at what adding to people's TBRs. Love this. Um, Back to our anthology for a minute. Also, I think I didn't mention, but like my little shorter one that I don't know what I'm doing with it. We're gonna see what happens with that. But it was paranormal. It was a vampire hunter and a
I
vampire.
love
It was
vampires so
sapphic.
much.
And I was like, why not? Let me try. But so we all gotta do our thing and try beyond what what we're used to. But beyond the fact that this anthology is benefiting the ACLU, what kind of is your hope to bring light and like a little bit of fun and love to like what do you hope this anthology does?
Um, I feel like, okay, so not besides the ACLU, but kind of like as well
Beyond,
as the
building
ACLU,
on.
I'd say is like, I think a lot of people nowadays, especially, are talking more about the relationship that reading and writing has to politics and the fact that both of them are political, and perceiving either one of those things as apolitical is a matter of privilege rather than reality. And I feel like, the fact that this anthology is supporting a great cause highlights the fact that like a lot of people have this like misconception that altruism is this great way of detaching politics from politics by looking at it as a social issue. And that's not the case, especially with the ACLU. And I also really like the fact that we can kind of nail in the fact that like even if it's an anthology about love and it's fun and at times supernatural fun, it's short and sweet, like even when it is that, it is still a political book, like regardless of what the subject matter is. You just can't separate the two. So I hope that like a lot of people who have at the very least like pre-ordered it knowing that the proceeds were going to the ACLU, I hope they go into it with that knowledge.
I actually love that it's romance because I feel like even if romance is like one of the biggest genres right now and it's hugely prevalent in a lot of spaces, it's still seen as like a stupid girls genre or now like purely porn or whatever. And so I love that it's like an important cause, but it is romance, and that like we're highlighting an important cause with a genre that is still so disrespected by so many people. Like as a kid, I definitely thought romance was stupid because I was very much like not like other girls, which is very much just I was in the closet. Um, but I feel like that's such an important part of the whole thing that it is romance and not like nonfiction or something, which I
No, but
love too. But
I feel like romance plays such an important role in political discussions,
yeah.
especially when you consider like contemporary romances. Because like even if you're not talking about the identities of like the two main love interests and how political those can be, you're also talking about a backdrop that isn't exempt from politics. Like you look at the socioeconomic backgrounds of the characters, you're looking at the political state of the world that they're engaging in and they're interacting with one another in, the world that they're falling in love with one another in. Like romance is pretty much like a perfect opportunity to both like keep within the margins of reality
Mm-hmm.
to a certain extent, and then still give people enough escapism to be like, at least this is going to end in a happily ever after, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think building on what you said about the fact that coming from a place of privilege, if you don't really look at how something is written, you can do the same by choosing not to include descriptions and certain types of background information for your characters because that is a choice to try to remain not political, but even not doing that is a political standpoint, because it's like, well, if I, make it very clear that these characters are not white, that is a choice, because by definition, minorities are political and what they do is viewed in different ways than what white folks do.
The thing
So,
I instantly think of when you say that is how, like, some white women authors will write the most racially ambiguous men of color and then just perpetuate Orientalism when it comes to the way that readers perceive and engage with those characters.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's like
So,
those olive-skinned guys who are then just the whitest actors ever in the movie version. Or
Yeah.
also just the fact that actually a decent amount of us are writing these like queer stories, and like being queer is inherently political, and especially like the current landscape. It's insane.
See,
Yeah.
here's the thing though. Even with that, I would say, like, even when you write the most like cookie cutter, like two white hetero
Hallmark.
cisgendered people falling in love in like the most like suburban picturesque town in bumfuck nowhere America. Like
Hallmark.
even that, yeah, like a Hallmark movie, even that isn't like, exempt from political scrutiny.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
and it's because of
I'm sorry, go ahead. Oh, yeah, I was just piggybacking on everything that you all are saying. There's a reason why I write rom-coms. There's a reason why my lead characters are black. People are always talking about black joy. Like, that's what I'm bringing. I write about sexy ass black people who are their stories are heartwarming, they're funny. At least that's what I'm striving for. and and there's lots of sex. So yeah, I write I write about my books, to me, exemplify black joy, and obviously that is political because there are a lot of people out there who don't want black people to be happy for some reason.
and don't believe black people are happy. Like, you pick up a book that's authored by a black person, and if it's not, if it's very specific that it's black people that are the characters, it's like, oh, I don't want black trauma. And it's like, this has nothing to do with trauma. They're living their lives having fun. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
So,
like in like the I call it in the black neighborhoods of Romance Landia. Because like the whole entire landscape is Romance Landia, and then there's the black side of town. Even though it's not like a real place, there is like the black side of town, and it's a discussion that comes up all the time. People will say something. They'll say something along the lines of, "Oh, I don't want to read black romance because I don't want to read about struggle." And it's like, do you hear yourself? Like, how unimaginative are you that you think that's all we write about? Like, you know how many of us are? You know how many of us live here?
It can literally be so much more, and that's like why I write the type of stories that I write. Like, all my characters are sapphic and they're black, but they're getting to experience timeless romances, having fated mates, and not be centered on trauma. Because not every black story is centered on trauma. They can do the same exact things that white people and other races do. We can do all of that. All of
and
it.
not every trauma story is black.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when
But
they
I also
categorize
feel
all
like-
of it. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry, Monique, I interrupted you.
It's like when they categorize everything as urban. It's like, not everything is urban just because there's black folks in it. Come on.
What does that even mean at this point?
Exactly.
Why can't we go into those other categories too? We don't have to be just in the urban category just because it's two black characters, you
At
know?
this point, it's
Oh,
not
I'm
a
sorry, I'm gonna
real
jump over to
category.
something else. But what I also don't like is that how a lot of like other authors of other races, they never want to read black stories, but we reread their stories. We don't just read our stories. Like, even my bookshelf has other authors on it that are not just black. It's mainly black, but there's other ones. I feel like there's no excuse as to why you can't see yourself in our characters as well, because we see ourselves and we listen and we read it with no problem.
If you only want to read yourself, read self-insert fanfiction, honestly.
Yeah.
The excuse is always, I can't relate. Like, you can relate to orcs and elves and stuff, and if that somebody thinks that way, it's like, stay the fuck away from my books. I don't want you reading them anyway. but at the same time, like, when you use that excuse, it's like, do you not hear how weak that sounds?
It's crazy.
Yeah. I think it is very interesting how that happens, and it's
Mhm.
very frustrating as authors or even as a reader to kind of watch from the outside when people are talking about certain authors' works. And I'm just like, do you hear yourself? You
Yeah.
don't know this person. First off, the parasocial relationship.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm going
Oh
off on
my
a
god,
tangent.
don't even get me started.
Yeah. Honestly,
You don't know these people.
You don't know what they're doing in their personal life, and to sit here and try and tell someone who wrote the book that their book is not political when they made the choices that they made in it is wild to me.
okay, I'm pulling up because I got like multiple things to say about specifically that. Like it's the kind of like, do you like when I hear people talk about, and it's the same bitches, and I'm talking about same bitches who get on the internet to tell you that like, oh, reading and writing are always political, but then suddenly the author's political views don't matter. Like, quelle surprise, you sound like a dumbass with
Like,
that
oh,
shit.
the author is a
But
bigot? Well, you could separate the art from the author.
what? But then also, the second you talk about like separating the art from the artist, and you put in that asterisk, like countering their argument by being like, yes, but when they're no longer in a position to profit off of said work, when they're dead and like 40 million years have passed and they are now fueling someone's Honda Civic, like that's
Yes.
when you can separate the artist from the art. Like, you say that, suddenly you're the bad guy who ruined Thanksgiving for everybody. But then, like, but the thing that like pisses me off the most in that conversation of like the parasocial relationships is like, you inevitably get to a point in that conversation with a person where you're like, I don't know why I'm talking to you, because clearly you didn't want to listen in the first place. You just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
speak into the void, and you like wanted to hog this apple crate that you're standing on when no one's listening in the town square. So like, you just want to leave leave those people with this one piece where it's like, you know what? If I was in your position, sucking racist dick that hard, you know what? I would double down too, because in 20 years time, when my jaw's locked and my and I'm like wearing like malformed dentures, I'd have to confront the fact that like I was sucking racist dick for 20 years. And so, you know what? I would rather keep my head in the sand and keep sucking rather than, admit the truth to myself too. Like, it's the same thing that you would say to like film bros who defend Quentin Tarantino no matter what. And I'm like, I would double down too rather than admit I was sucking racist dick. Please don't
That is
clip
going to
this.
be
I love the pictures you're painting. I also feel like Monique touched earlier on how people say like that people can't, that like there's no black joy in books. I feel like there's a similar thing for sapphic literature where people are like, oh, there's no good sapphic books, or oh, there's no sapphic books that aren't porn, stuff like that. And there's like, through specifically since I like went back on Instagram and started like talking more about it, also like looking more at how many authors, especially like indie authors, there are who write amazing sapphic stories. There is so much, you just like have to open your eyes and look for it. And like my whole thing with writing is like, I don't just not write men because I don't really have the experience or knowledge of writing them. Like, I could look that up. I write people that are not me all the time. I just do my research, and I could do the same with men if I wanted to, but I always want to center women or non-binary people in my stories, and always want to center like queer people in my stories, specifically for me sapphic people, because I feel like there's such an, even with the amount of content there is now, there's still such an underrepresentation of just purely sapphic stories. And like, I grew up on media and fan fiction that was mostly gay, but centered on men, and then there were sometimes like women secondary characters, and they like usually got their happy ending, but we didn't really hear about them because they weren't that important. They were just there to get two men together, and it was so frustrating to me. I was guilty of it as a kid too, because I liked it on Tumblr and stuff like that, but I was like 13, so I didn't know any better. So now my whole thing in writing is that I strive to just create those queer stories that I want to see. Not, of course, not just happy ones for me. Like, I love a horror story. I love seeing people like overcome their trauma, whether it's through healing or through murder. So like my favorite character of all time that I've written genuinely like smashes her mother's head in with an axe, but she deserved it, and then she goes off into the sunset with her girlfriend, speaking like in pictures. But and that's like one of my favorite stories ever written. I do hope to publish that as a book someday, because those girls are like so special to me. And there's like honestly not a single man in that story, and it makes me so incredibly happy.
And I think that highlighting Black joy, highlighting sapphic stories, highlighting bisexuals who are in straight presenting couples, because that's also overlooked. It's like, oh, well, if you're, if you're in a male female couple,
You're suddenly
obviously
straight.
you're straight. And it's like, no, the man can be bisexual, the woman could be bisexual, they could be pansexual. Like the erasure of that identity, highlighting those stories is really important too. Like there's so many different things, and all of that is political. And we're getting a lot of different stories and different approaches, and if it's not even if it's just two non-human beings, Dovey, like all of that deserves attention, because it's someone's creativity and it's someone's ideas. As long as it's not done in a harmful way,
Yeah.
everything is political in one way or another. The author themselves that's writing it and what they're choosing to put in the stories. And I think that us doing this anthology highlights the various different ways that we can write stories. And we're all benefiting the ACLU, which is really important. And I think it like, as has been mentioned, is really showing that there's so many different ways to benefit a good cause while also having fun. So I kind of want to end on your favorite line that you wrote without giving too much away, if you want to share.
I don't remember a damn thing I wrote. I'm gonna be sad.
Oh, same. I have it open on my monitor.
I don't remember exact lines, but I can just tell you the way that my character Anodyne, and her name has a meaning behind it, but the way that Anodyne speaks to Killian, it's in a very old and kind of poetic way, and she calls Killian a beautiful creature. So Killian is in fact human, but Anodyne is not, and so she speaks like the ancient being that she is. So, and I just like the way that she talks to them, and I think others that read it will probably like it as well too. So that's all I have.
Actually, I have a sentence. Oh, I'm sorry, Nugget, you can go first.
Yeah, I actually like kind of copied and pasted my favorite line. It's actually the opening line in the book, or in the story, and she's Zarina's actually talking to a chipmunk when she says this.
You tell Olivia.
Yeah, she's been lost in the woods for a few hours, so she's pretty much like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna die. So she's being a little extra about it. So she says, "Here lies Zarina Chapel. She died in the woods because her foolish ass listened to her friend Ashley and went camping, even though they both know Black people don't go camping."
I mean, this is exactly me thinking about my camping trip in June. Like, why did I decide I was going to do this? It's fine.
But also I love that first like Monique is dropping that first line right after we had an entire conversation about Black joy.
Listen, you get to hear how fun people can be, and also like with Dovey's like saying that the old way of, I love, it's weird, right? When I talk to people who are older and they talk how they did back in the 20s, if they're still alive, I'm just like, the way you talk is so eloquent and interesting, because it's so very like different from these 20s that we're in. And so I can't imagine how a being from like 5,000 years ago would speak, but it would be so fascinating to just sit there and be like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I don't even know what you're talking about. Just keep talking.
So fair.
To go from
They read it. Like they were like they just loved the way that I had Anodyne talking, like so poetic like. So yeah. I'm glad they liked it.
like going from hearing someone poetically speak to you to Monique being like, and this is where I die.
Monique is getting us out of left field a lot.
Yay!
Good for you.
Laura, you said you had a line as well.
Yeah, I actually pulled up my my PDF on the side because I also cannot remember a single word after I type it. Just goes right out of my brain. But luckily, I have a huge screen. So actually, I have two favorite lines, but I'm gonna pick one of them. And this one's just kind of cute to me because I just like I don't know, I liked writing it. So so I see too caught up in her imagination, Mila failed to realize that this probable supermodel was not trying to reach out, cup her face with those soft hands, and kiss her. Instead, she was trying to reach the napkin station right behind her. It's technically two sentences, but I like that one because it's just kind of like, oops. And I definitely like daydreamed about Pretty Stranger wanting to kiss me, so we'll see at the gym.
You just move so you can reach
I
that.
remember
No, she doesn't move.
Those moments of embarrassment and cringe are always so fun.
Yes, and I feel like that's so human.
Like it's fun when it doesn't happen to you, but it's fun when you.
Yes,
it's funny when you read it happening to somebody else.
And like it's definitely happened to me. Like just the other day, I was at the gym and there was like the hottest woman, like covered in tattoos, and she was sitting at a machine across from me. I was trying so hard not to stare at her because she was so gorgeous. Like I went up and told her I loved her tattoos, but oh my god, I had like to go to another machine of the same kind to not like stare at her because I didn't want to be creepy. But she was so beautiful. So I've definitely been there.
I don't remember like exactly what I wrote, but I feel like the most memorable thing that I vaguely remember, ironically, is like the first line, which was along the lines of like at some point you would rather subject yourself to living like an old spinster maid life with like a litter of cats around you than go on another first date. And there was something in there about like the cats eventually deciding whether or not it was appropriate to eat your face. So, you know.
Oh, you mean my favorite future of mine?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know I was being
it.
like a woman of the people, but okay.
They can eat my face as a treat.
There's a reason I don't have cats. And it's also a reason I don't go over my friends' houses a lot that have cats because they would look at me and be like, still single, huh?
I love cats. They're about as judgmental as I am.
Don't judge me. Y'all, it has been so fun. We learning about your stories and kind of, building on what the purpose of this anthology is, which is one, connecting with other authors, but two, spreading information and joy and participating in something that is for a good cause. So this has been Rae's Corner. I want to thank all of my guests for coming on today and giving us some laughs and some realness. Writing can be a lonely process, but when authors work together on projects like this, it's a different type of rewarding. You meet new people, you learn different things, you get different ideas, and you see how folks approach their craft, which is inspiring. So again, I just want to thank Monique and Laura and Dovey and Marwa for coming on. And make sure y'all pre-order One Page, One Love. It comes out on May 6th, and it was put together by Sue Sullivan and C.T. Fletcher, and it's really awesome, so y'all ain't gonna be disappointed. And as a reminder, nobody puts Rae in the corner unless she's gushing about books. Yeah.